Have you heard of the ancient Jewish Ethiopian tradition called Sigd? That's today, Sigd. It's an ancient tradition where Ethiopian Jewish people kind of dress up like they're Moses, and they go to a mountain like it's Mount Sinai, and they reenact the receiving of the Torah, and then they're fasting like Moses. I don't know if it's 40 days, they're fasting, and then there's a breaking of the fast, and they have that delicious bread, injera, the injera bread. And for the first time since he was dragged into captivity in Gaza, in the tunnels, held for over 10 years, Avera Mengistu, a Ethiopian Jewish man, he went to Jerusalem and he stood among his community, and instead of his face being on a poster, he stood there with his prayer shawl on and his shoulders covered with that prayer shawl, his eyes lifted, and he just said a blessing. And it just felt so literal that God will restore the captivity of his people Israel. It just felt so amazing. We as a charity, the Aliyah Return Center also sponsors these events, type events in the Galilee. And it's just so wonderful to be able to see the joy and the traditional dresses and shirts and dances and shoulder dances. It's just, so Mengistu prayed along with his people, and he just prayed for those the rest of the hostages' bodies to return, have a decent burial. And I saw other hostages like playing piano, Alon Ohel, playing piano in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, and instead of his face being on a poster, there he is playing. Other hostages, Braslavsky, dancing in Jerusalem, dancing there in the bazaar, in the shuk. It just warms the heart to see that it's possible. You know what else is possible? To see the end of Hamas, to see the end of this security threat, to see, and I know they're still trying, oh man, and they rejected the disarmament plan of Trump. They said, we reject what America says, we reject what Israel says. They even said, so brazen, they said, it was never part of the original talks that Hamas should disarm. What? There's definitely a coordinated effort with Hamas and Hezbollah, and of course Iran, and the Houthis to all try to do a coordinated multi-front escalation. They're trying. They are trying. During the ceasefire, you think it's just they're ceasing to fire and they're just relaxing. And no, it's a close coordination with Hezbollah this time to try to re-escalate in Gaza, in Lebanon, and in Syria. I mean, come on, it's not going to work. They need to give up. They need to say, look, politically, the UN even, you tried so hard, Hamas, to peddle your lies, and the UN even says that they are done. They're not in a good place politically. Militarily, they're not that strong. I know they're trying to regroup. They're not that strong. And I mean, I know there's still some crazy, deceived people in the West that still toot their horn and repeat their talking points. But they're not going to defeat Israel. Their goal to kill us all is not going to work. They are recruiting. They are training. They're collecting intelligence. They're looking for weaknesses. They're looking for chinks in the armor. Hezbollah is violating the ceasefire in the north. They're trying to bring in more and more weapons, and we're stopping them in the Bekaa Valley. We're stopping them in southern Lebanon, and some of their northern commands were taking them out. Israel struck the Zaytun battalion there in Lebanon, struck the Hamas operatives in Lebanon. So you saw Netanyahu yesterday. I talked about Netanyahu visiting Syria and saying, no, nobody's going to start up anything here. So this axis of resistance is going to keep trying, but Israel just has to be stronger, has to be more alert, more ready than ever before, not sleeping on the job in any way. And God is watching over us. I mean, look at what's happening to Iran, the head of the octopus, the one who screams death to America, death to Israel in every parliament meeting pretty much. And they're having to move out of Tehran. The president said Tehran officially can no longer be the capital of Iran. They got to move out. Total environmental collapse. It's just the water issue there. And the key point has nothing to do with Israel or the West. It's just Tehran's water and infrastructure are at a breaking point. With the soil sinking to 30 centimeters per day, it's a catastrophe, he says. I wonder if there's something supernatural at work here. Could there be? He says it's due to unchecked construction. It's due to shrinking water reservoirs. It's due to many things. But he said to stay in Tehran would be signing a death warrant for everybody who stays. They got to leave. Where are they going to go? To Makran, maybe on the Gulf of Oman. Maybe go to the Chabhar port in the Indian Ocean. They're going to have to go somewhere. Maybe to Qom in Isfahan, where U.S. and Israel struck. I don't know. But let me tell you what, my friends, it is got to be something spiritual. They got to understand they're cursing the God of Israel. They're cursing the God who made the whole world. And Deuteronomy 32 says, how can one chase 1,000? How can two put 10,000 to flight except the rock? The God of Israel talks about the rock. Tzur Yisrael, the God of Israel, has shut them up. And that's what's happening. It's so wonderful when these soldiers come and make their aliyah, and they got to go through a lot of struggles, not just learning Hebrew and opening a business, but defending this land. And what's your name?
My name is Avi.
Avi. When did you make your aliyah to Israel?
Aliyah a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago. You know, I remember when I made my aliyah, it's like a long time ago, and I remember it's sometimes worth more than $1,000 is just a little hug and say, you're doing the right thing. You're standing in the gap. You're doing the right thing for Israel. Thank you for serving. And you've been serving in the 7th of October, and you've been serving in this war.
Yes, coming to Brazil.
Well, we're here to help. And we want to give you everything you're going to possibly need. I know the government gives some things, but we're here to help with anything else we can. That's what we do. Thank you. And what does your name mean? Your name?
Well, my full name is Avraham, and that means Father of Many Nations.
Father of Many Nations.
And we're learning about him in our current parsha right now, which is it's a fun name to have, and I'm hoping to spread as much, build as much of a Jewish family as I can here in Israel. So it's a pretty fitting name for myself, I'd say.
We're believing for your full success in this land. Shabbat shalom. God bless.
Thank you.